So Bakugan Evolutions has officially dropped onto Netflix, and we finally got to see the actual first ever episode of Evolutions that we were supposed to get before.
Yes, this is in fact the real first episode of Bakugan Evolutions. I have no idea what the TV networks were thinking or if they had just forgotten about this, but this episode is actually a 45-minute special. I don't know if the TV networks just simply forgot to make time for this episode and instead aired the following episode out of mistake, or if the executives were too busy shagging goats. But thanks to Netflix, we finally have the real premiere of Bakugan Evolutions. How did it go?
Well, let's take a look at this together and find out. This is the true episode 1 of Bakugan Evolutions. Now, as usual, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen this episode yet, go back and watch it now. But if you have, sit back, relax, and enjoy my review of the true first episode of Bakugan Evolutions.
Well, you can tell this is the real premiere because of the special red title screen here, Evolutions Unleashed. And it would not be the new season without Dan narrating what had previously happened the prior season, except he actually narrates the very start of the reboot to now, which is, I guess, a good way to make sure you don't miss any context. And I really should have known the aired premiere wasn't even the first episode when they didn't even start with this narration.
Another planet called Vestroia fused with Earth. Who could ever have imagined that me, Dan Kuzo, would help save the world? And not just once, but like 3 times.
So we finally begin the episode, and it seems Trox, Pharol, Hydorous, Pegatrix, and Howlkor are still asleep, even though at the end of Geogan Rising we saw them come back with Drago. So what the hell? Did they just come back, then said, never mind, and just went back to sleep? I mean, they clearly edited out where they're following Drago out of the portal thinking we wouldn't notice. So there's a news report about random vines appearing and an elemental surge popping out, so Dan and Drago go alone since, you know, the Awesome Brawlers don't have their partners. How did Dan not break his legs at that height?
Whoa! Hey, let go! Come on, crazy vines!
That vine was literally strangling Dan. Dan just had another near-death experience here, but they are saved by Wrath, even though Wrath did not even touch Dan's vines. How did none of them break their legs in that jump? That must have been like a 20-foot fall in that air. Seriously, what's the fall damage physics here? But these are the elemental brawlers arriving to contain the elemental storm in the area. Meanwhile, Leah's mom repeats the same intro to her new paragraphs in 2 scenes in a row.
A new group of Baku brawlers has arrived on the scene. A new team has arrived on the scene, and it appears that
the elemental brawlers take saving the world seriously. Ugh. We don't need some internet clown getting in our way.
Damn, this was our true introduction of Athena Mon, and already she's a major hard ass. So Dan is attacked by giant Ventus Ryorazu, and this was our first real introduction to Nanogon as Faustus summons Echo. When Drago questions it, they just reuse the previous scene.
Wait, did a Bakugan just emerge from another Bakugan? I believe she meant you, Dan.
So yeah, these adults using devices to control Bakugan here, remember when they outlawed illegal devices to control Bakugan? Well, I guess that rule applies only to criminals because these guys, unless they're using devices under license, they're pretty much breaking the law. Continuity? Consistency? What's that? After Ventus Ryorazu is defeated, Dan and the Awesome Brawlers watch the news report, and Dan gets jealous about the Elemental Brawlers and completely ignoring the fact that the other AB can't even brawl, so what do you expect them to do? Just stand there while you get your ass kicked? But the Awesome Brawlers investigate the Elemental Storm, and coincidentally, a Pyrus Elemental Storm happens at Studio D, and Dan has to stop it because he's the only one that dipped out of there fast, leaving his friends to be burned to death. Jeez, we just had Dan nearly strangled to death, and now his friends are trapped in the burning building? This is getting dark! So because the flames are coming from Vestroia, Drago absorbs the elemental energy in a very awesome shot, and then he explodes! My god, if this actually premiered like it was supposed to, the combination of the scene as well as Jonah's delivery would have shocked me to believe Drago actually died. Nah, I'm kidding, but seriously, they actually tricked you into thinking Drago died, and honestly, this was cool and well done. I would have believed it. But then a second later, a gate opens, and Pegatrix, Hydorous, Pharol, Trox, Howlkor, and Drago all come back in shiny elemental form, which they actually acknowledge their change in design for once. They have not done that, well, ever, actually, so props to them for finally acknowledging design changes and working it into the story. Drago, turns out, blew up back to Vestroia and shared his immense amounts of energy he absorbed with the other Bakugan partners, and we actually find out what happened to the other Bakugan like Syndius, Gilator, Ramparian, and them. They're still asleep because I guess Drago doesn't have enough elemental energy to share with everyone, so the rest of the other Bakugan are still asleep, but yet the first out of all of them to wake up is Kabo! The others warned Dan that the elemental storms leaking out of Vestroia could end up destroying the world and that they must stop it.
Should this continue, Vestroia and Earth will surely be destroyed.
I don't understand all that.
The Awesome Brawlers, for some reason, dressed in Power Ranger suits, cause the Elemental Brawlers to fight them to prove the Awesome Brawlers are the only ones who can protect the world. Yeah, if you can't tell, they have been teasing Dan's dark character turn ever since the first episode, since the constant mention of the Elemental Brawlers makes him jealous, which makes his overcoming of selfishness all the more disappointing.
Easy now. We're not here to battle you.
Where did their airship go? So the fight ensues, and the Awesome Brawlers Bakugan actually don't have control of the elemental energies they obtain, which I actually like that they're establishing that the elemental appearance is not just some makeover, but an actual power that takes time to master. But holy crap, what skeleton Bakugan is that, because that thing looks like butt! The Elemental Brawlers unleash a full elemental attack with animation that looks amazing, knocking out the other Awesome Brawlers Bakugan, and Drago is the last one standing.
How come you didn't bring out your nanogun?
Because I can easily beat you without it.
Damn, I was already sold on Emily Stranges' performance, but to see her act her heart out ever since the first episode is just awesome. So after Athena summons Scorcher, Dan orders Drago to backdraft at his feet to try and find an elemental core, which I find strange given what we actually know now. I think this was really just Drago and Dan being in sync, and Dan gets an elemental core to summon Nano Fury. But before they can finish the battle, Faustus calls out the fight.
I said, stop now. Dan Kuzo, stand down.
Huh?
I gotta give praise to Amos Crawley for that delivery. He definitely commands a lot of conviction and authority there. Very well done. Faustus introduced everyone to the staff and Athena and invites them to the Bakugan Academy, proposing they team up to save the world.
I've spent my life studying Vestroian science.
What? In this timeline, it's apparently only been like 2 years since Bakugan were first discovered. Even in real life, it's been 3 years since the reboot launch. You look like you're 60 years old. How can you spend your whole life studying something that you didn't know existed until 3 years ago? Come on, writing team! So now the Awesome Brawlers go check out the academy.
I can't believe I'm actually in the presence of the real Dragonoid.
Scott Law sounds exactly like all of us Bakugan fans if we ever met Dragonoid. I know I geeked out a little like that when I got to meet Jason DeLine.
Sometimes I just get carried away.
Jeez, who are you exactly talking to? The animation here just makes it look like he's breaking the fourth wall. So the tour is interrupted by an elemental surge that opens a gateway for a Darkest Bakugan to come out. I think that's supposed to be a modified version of Garganoid X Webem. I have no idea what that's actually supposed to be, but I want it. The Elemental Brawlers are trying to contain it while it goes rapid fire everywhere, but the Bakugan is absorbing every attack to make it bigger Android 17 style, and kicks all of the Elemental Brawlers' asses despite the Awesome Brawlers' warning. But before the Darkest Bakugan can finish off Faustus, it runs off for some reason. I guess these wild Bakugan really don't have brains. The Bakugan is headed to the power plant where another storm is erupting, and if it absorbs the energy and explodes, it would destroy all of Los Valmos. Damn, that's pretty cool. No pressure or anything. The Elemental Brawlers lost all hope, but the Awesome Brawlers go to stop it. You know, the way they make this shot seems like something out of a Godzilla movie. It's great. The Awesome Brawlers Bakugan still can't control their elemental energies, and it's up to Drago to stop it. The action here is literally so intense, and the animation is so good, especially considering our protagonists have to get creative to take down something that can absorb attacks. But even with their best efforts, Drago is beaten, and we actually get a good flashback sequence that shows the similarities of how Dan and Faustus have been acting, thinking they are strong individually when both combined can accomplish more. So the Awesome Brawlers ask the Elemental Brawlers for help, with Faustus suggesting overloading Drago with elemental energy again.
Remember how Drago absorbed it at Studio D?
Wait, how do you know that happened? You weren't even there. Faustus suggests using the other Elemental Bakugan's energies to give Drago more power, and Drago turns back into ball form, but we get this really cool shot of Drago and Dan awakening some inner power, which Dan immediately figures out is evolution, where we get our first introduction to Drago's strength mode. The toy still looks ass! And then we get this super awesome looking action scene of Drago against that unknown cool looking Darkest Bakugan, and at the final sequence, Dan throws 5 Baku cores at Drago.
Chromatic Flame!
You can call it whatever you want, but that's Goku's Super Dragon Fist. But I really love this cool action silent still shot before the final explosion. It's so dramatic and very intense, and given the circumstances of if we don't see him defeated, yeah, this was very appropriate. And Drago finally defeats the unknown Darkest Bakugan. And at the end, we get a moment of dialogue between Faustus and Wrath, voiced by Kedar Brown, about sharing their knowledge of elemental brawling with the Awesome Brawlers. I honestly don't understand this scene because it seems like they're trying to paint Faustus and Wrath as the main bad guys, but the dialogue makes it seem like they really truly do want to stop the elemental storms to save the world, just they both seem to dislike each other. I don't know, maybe they have some sort of deal going on, or maybe there's some deep meaning to what they're saying that I'm just not seeing. Either way, mystery conversation, and that's the end of it.
So that was the true first episode of Bakugan Evolutions. Let me know what your rating of the show was in the comments down below.
This was a spectacular episode. So much amazing action, so much story setup, great performances from the cast, the establishment of lore and consequences, introduction of characters, explanation of past events, and just everything about this episode really felt special, and if I actually saw this on TV as a proper premiere, it would have blown me right out of my seat. Unfortunately, I won't get to experience that first time premiere viewing like they really intended, but watching it as it is, I was still very immersed and enjoyed watching this very much. See, this is what happens when you actually give time to really create an established character and story. It all feels right and not at all out of place. If you ask me, I think they should do 45-minute episodes more often. With everything that went into it, giving this episode a score, for the first time ever, I'm going to break my own rating system and give this episode a 6 out of 5. This was Baku Spectacular. Thank you for watching this review of Evolutions. Be sure to press the like button and give us a subscribe for more awesome Bakugan content. I've been Haru Ren, and thank God for Rapid Fire. Bye!